This week's parsha, we mentioned the name of Nachshon. Nachshon, that Aaron HaKohen married the daughter of Aminadav, and she was the sister of Nachshon, Elisheva Nachshon. Very strange that Nachshon means snake man. That's an Indian name.
Really?
Yeah. Nachshon means snake man. Okay. Anyway, today we're going to speak about the Iron Ladies of the Exodus. Okay, who are the Iron Ladies of the Exodus? I have some source sheets here. If you want to just pass, thank you, if you can pass them around. Thank you very much. It's one paper with two sides. Thank you. It's one paper with two sides. Who are the Iron Ladies of the Exodus? Now, the Zohar tells us, Yiddish Ruvain, that Yaakov's wives are called Neshei Barzel. Yaakov's wives are Iron Ladies. Before Margaret Thatcher, the original Iron Lady, says the Zohar, was Yaakov's wives, Barzel. Barzel, Chava, is iron, but it's Rosh Tevot. Bay stands for Bilha. Barzel. Rei stands for whom? Rachel. Zayin, Zilpah. And Lamed, Leah. So those are the original Iron Ladies. But I want to tell you that it wasn't just Yaakov's wives. All the ladies of Jewish history, and especially during the Exodus, were what? Iron Ladies. And who are the 7 Iron Ladies of Jewish history? Actually, they weren't all Jewish. We'll see. Number 1, Yocheved, the heroine. Number 2, Miriam. Number 3, Shifra. Now, according to Even Ezra, Shifra and Puah were non-Jewish midwives. You don't have them on your sheet. We're not up to the sheets yet. Shifra and Puah, the Even Ezra says that they were non-Jewish midwives who risked their lives to save Jewish children. Then you have Batya, Bat Paro. She wasn't Jewish either. She risked her life to save baby Moses, went against her own father. Number 6, Tzipporah, right? Tzipporah saved Moshe's life. And number 7, Serach Bat Osher. Serach Bat Osher, the Medrash says she was still alive during the Exodus. She came down with Yaakov Avinu. So when Moshe came and said, I'm the Redeemer, the Ziknei Yisrael said, how do we know you're the real McCoy? Maybe you're an imposter. So the Ziknei Yisrael went to Serach Bas Osher, the original Iron Lady. She was over 210 years old. And she said, this is the real McCoy. He has the secret password. I remember Grandpa Yaakov Avinu from 210 years ago. That he's not an imposter, that Moshe Rabbeinu is the real McCoy. So his entire life, Moshe Rabbeinu's entire life, buddy, was shaped and sustained by whom, Ira? The 7 Iron Ladies of the Exodus. Yocheved and Miriam, Shifra and Puah, Batya, Tzipporah, and the real Iron Lady, Serach Bas Osher, over 210 years old later. She testified that Moshe Rabbeinu is not an imposter, he's the real McCoy, because she remembered Grandpa Yaakov and Uncle Joseph 210 years later. Shifra and Puah really speak to me, because in Pasha Shmo says, after Shifra and Puah did what they did, they risked their lives to save Jewish children. And Even Ezra says they were non-Jewish Mitzrim. Says, Vayas lahem batim. He made for them houses. That's what it says in Pasha Shemos. The Rashbam says, what does that mean? Pharaoh put them on the house arrest. Yiddish? The Rashbam, Vayas lahem batim. He made for them houses. The Rashbam argues with his grandfather Rashi and says that Pharaoh put them on the house arrest because these non-Jewish midwives risked their lives to save Jewish children. Therefore, Vayas lahem batim, Pharaoh made special jails for them. Why does I say it's personal in my life? Because my mother and uncles were saved by Warul Wallenberg. Who? Barul Wallenberg saved my mother and my uncles. And what was his reward? He also wound up in jail. So the original Raoul Wallenberg was Shifra and Pua, non-Jewish midwives who had the courage of civil disobedience. According to the Rashbam, they were not Yocheved and Miriam. He argues with Rashi, with his grandfather. They were pagan midwives who had the courage to do civil disobedience, disobeyed Paroi, and therefore they went to jail. Proving what Herb Sanchez always said, no good deed goes. The reward for a mitzvah is not in this world. In this world, buddy, the righteous suffer for their righteousness. Shifra and Pua, Raoul Wallenberg for saving my mother and 100,000 other Jews. One man. He was Shifra and Pua. Nebuch went to jail. There is no reward for mitzvah in this world. The reward for a mitzvah is only what in Olam Haba. In Olam Haba. So what did we learn from these valiant ladies? These women, the iron ladies of the Exodus, they have the ability to think outside the box. If it wasn't for Shifra and Pua, if it wasn't for little Miriam, if you take a look at your sheets, please, where it says Shemot Aleph. See, it says Shemot Aleph. Pasuk Aleph. Vayelech ish mi bet Levi. A man went from the house of Levi. Where did he go? Look at the footnote. You see, it's highlighted in yellow. Vayelech ish. The man went. Where did he go? See that? Chavel heichen halach. Where did he go? Omer Rabbi. I'm reading the footnote. It's underlined in yellow. Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Sheholach vatzas bito. He went following his little daughter's advice. Amram Godel Hador Hoya. Amram was the chief rabbi at the time. Kivin Shagoza Para Kola Beni Yilad Yaira. Once Pharaoh gave the decree that all Jewish boys have to wind up in the bottom of the river. Amar Lishav Anu Amelin. Why should we bring children into the world? They'll wind up in Auschwitz crematoria. Amar the Girashat Ishto. Amram, the chief rabbi, got up and he what? But he have it underlined in yellow. Got up and he what? Divorced his wife. Vamdu Kulam. The Goshler said, if the chief rabbi divorces his wife, why bring children into the world? They'll be killed in Auschwitz. So all the Jewish people got up, Malka, and they what? They divorced their wives. Here you have the solution to the Jewish problem. No Jewish babies, no Jewish problem. You hear? It would have been all over. Ruvain, all over. Solution to the Jewish problem. Amreloi Bitoi, little Miriam said, Abba. She's speaking to the chief rabbi of Israel. Can you imagine? Jewish women have spunk. They have the ability to think outside the box, Elisheva. She said, Abba, your decree, the Chama, you following? Abba, Gizarticha kosher Michel Paro. Your decree is worse than Paroi. Why? She Paroi loy gazer el ascharim. Pharaoh decreed that Jewish boy babies should be killed. Va'ata, you by divorcing mommy, Ira, you have the paper? Va'ata, you by divorcing mommy, Gezarti al ascharim v'alanekevot, you're worse than Paroi, Abba. Little Miriam speaking to the chief rabbi, her father. Pharaoh decreed what? On the baby boys. By divorcing mommy, you're also preventing what? Jewish girls to be born. You hear this? Paroi loy gaza el ba'olam hazeh. Pharaoh decreed what? Only in this world. But the baby that's killed will have olam haba. You, by preventing babies from being born, you are taking away not just their physical world, but their afterlife. Ira, you have this? So Rashi says there in Saita 12, that only if a child is born into this world does it have olam haba, even though it only lives a minute. For a soul to enter olam haba, it must first what, Elisheva, be born. even though only lives a minute. But by divorcing mommy, you're not giving a chance for the neshama to come down to this world, and therefore it cannot go to what? To Olam Haba. You hear?
Yeah, but the
a baby, in order the neshama to go to Olam Haba, must come down to this world, even though only lives a minute. That's the ticket to ride, Avram. The purpose to be born is Olam Haba. But by divorcing mommy, Miriam said, you are preventing not just the girl baby born, but even from the neshama to have Olam Haba. So she said, Abba, you're worse than Paroi. He should have said, how dare you talk to me like that, little girl? I'm the chief rabbi. Mind your elders. No. What happened? Omad v'hichzir et ishta. He got up and he had the courage to say, Ta'iti. Reuven, what does that mean, Ta'iti?
made a mistake.
I was wrong. Imagine the humiliation. He said, he put an ad in the Jewish press, my little daughter is smarter than me. This is the chief rabbi of Israel. He said, Ta'iti. He had the courage to say, Barabim, I was wrong. He publicly remarried his wife, and then all the Hasidim, Chanoch, remarried what? Their wife. Can you imagine the Busha? The chief rabbi made a mistake. Who corrected him? His little daughter. That out of the mouth of babes will come the truth. Ira, the courage to say Ta'iti. And that's why he was the father of Moses. And because of Miriam's rebuke, who was born? Little Moses. If it wasn't for little Miriam's rebuke, no Moses, no Redeemer, no lawgiver, forget about it. Little Miriam.
Redemption comes through the women.
That's right. What's the message? Listen to your children, Reuven. Shoshana, listen to your kids. What a powerful message. He could have said, how dare you? I'm the chief rabbi, little girl. Go back to kindergarten. He had the courage to say, Ta'iti. Nechamatz, I'm mind-boggling. Publicly, to say I was wrong, put an ad in the Jewish press, that my little daughter is smarter than me. I was wrong. And therefore, Moses was born and all the Jewish people were redeemed. Otherwise, there's no people to redeem. Without the iron ladies of the Exodus, there'd be nobody left to what?
To redeem.
And therefore, when God came to give the Torah, Ira, who did he go to first? Bet Yaakov first. And then Bet Yaakov, says the Torah, Yisroi. Why ladies first? God is maketov to you ladies. Without you ladies, there'd be no Torah to give to nobody. Abraham, who are you going to give the Torah to? If it wasn't for the ladies, there'd be no Jewish people. So ladies first, therefore, God is a gentleman. So Kol Toma Labet Yaakov, therefore first he gave the Torah to whom? Appreciating. God is maketov Chanok to the ladies. Without them, who's going to give the Torah to? No babies, no people, forget about it. Avashtarka Kasha. Here Miriam is praised. She criticized her father for divorcing mommy, and she's praised. Right? But 80 years later, this time she doesn't criticize her father for divorcing mommy. She criticizes her brother for divorcing his wife. And there she's not praised. There she's condemned. I don't understand, Ira. Here she criticizes her father for divorcing her mother. She's praised. Kol hakavod. 80 years later, she criticizes her brother for divorcing Tzipporah, and there she's not praised, she's condemned, and she's punished. Makara. Give up? Here she criticized her father. She said, Abba, I got a bone to pick with you. Can we go into the den and we'll talk? Can we talk? Who said that? Jerome, can we talk? When you have something to say to somebody, you don't talk behind his back. You call him into a room and you lock the door and you tell him. But 80 years later, for some reason, she didn't tell Moshe. She spoke behind his back. She spoke behind, even though it was true, but for some reason she didn't tell it to him. She spoke about him to another sibling. That's Lashon Hara. If she would have confronted Moses, Beryl, like she confronted Abba, she'd get a knip and beckel. How do you say that in English? A knip. But no, for some reason, Shoshana, maybe she felt intimidated. Moses, the great prophet, even though she was the older sister, she didn't confront him like she confronted her father, Avram, 80 years ago, and that was a terrible mistake. You have something to say to somebody, you don't speak behind his back, you tell the person. Otherwise, even though it's true, it's Lashon Hara. And that's a powerful message for us. Powerful message for us. Listen to your kids, and when you have something to say, to criticize, you tell the person, not behind his back. Okay. Now, these iron ladies of the Exodus, it's not just these 7 that I told you. It's not just Yocheved and Miriam, you're counting, Shifra and Pua, Batya, Tzipporah, and Serach Bas Osher. She must have taken a lot of spirulina, buddy. She lived to be over 210 years old. She never died. Right? And she said, he's the real McCoy. He's not an imposter. I remember the secret password from Grandpa Jacob, Avram, 210. She wasn't senile. She remembered 210 years earlier. But it's all the women, the Neshei Barzel. It's not just Barzel, Bilha, Rachel, Barzel, Bilha, Rachel, Zilpah, and Leah. But Leah, it's not just, take a look at the other side of the sheets. It's mind-boggling. The heroines of the Exodus.
All the women.
And the Gemara says in Sota that the first Geula happened only because of the righteous women, and the Zohar says just like the first Geula happened only because of what?
The women.
So the final Geula will also happen not because of the chief rabbis or the Koilel guys, but only because of what? The women. How do we know that, Avram? Because the first Geula is the roadmap of the final Geula. So since the first Geula happened because of the ladies, so the final Geula will also happen only because of the ladies, not because of the chief rabbis. Take a look at the other side of the sheet, please. Amazing here. Pasuk Chet. You see that, Abraham? Pasuk Chet. Vayat et akior nechoshet. You see that? The first of the wide lines. I think it's underlined in the yellow, no? Vayat es akior nechoshet. He made the wash basin from the choshet. You have that? Pasuk Chet, the first of the wide lines. B'marot hatzavot. He made the wash basin in the temple courtyard. B'marot hatzavot. In the mirror, the army of the mirrors. The army of the mirrors. Avram, what does that mean? Very strange. Huh? The army of the mirrors. So look at this incredible Rashi. Rashi is on the right side of him. It's underlined. You have the B'marot hatzavot. Bezalel built the wash basin from the copper mirrors that produced an army. What does that mean, Rabbi Yaakov? Strange. See Rashi on the right side, Chava? Chet, underline. You have it, B'marat HaTzavot. Benot Yisrael, the Jewish women, Hoye B'yodain Marot Sharois Ben Geshemis Kashtois. Right? In those days, they didn't use glass for a mirror. What did they use? Brass, shiny brass, copper, that they used to make themselves pretty. And when the call came in the Mishkan, we need brass, even such a personal item as a mirror, the women what? Donated. Moses was Moes. What does Moes mean? He rejected them. He said, ladies, no, I don't want your mirrors. You take your mirrors to make yourself sexy, to entice the Yetzer Hara. Take the mirrors back. Moses, let me straighten you out about something. Moses, take a pill and lie down. Kabel, accept these mirrors. Ki elu chavivin alai. You have to do it, it's underlined. Ki elu chavivin alai min hakol. These mirrors that you want to reject are more precious to me than any gold watch a chief rabbi would bring. They needed gold too, right? Shal yedeyem heimidu hanoshim tzavot rabbis b'Mitzrayim. They're called the mirrors of the armies, because these mirrors are responsible for an army of Jewish babies to be born in Mitzrayim. Why? Because shoya ba'alei in your game avodas perach. The mitzvah made the men do back-breaking, exhausting work, so they shouldn't have any desire to what? Or koach, to have children. They had Viagra in those days. And they wouldn't let the men come home. They kept them in the fields. Solution to the Jewish problem. The women would sneak out to the fields, bring along picnic basket, and their makeup kits. And they would feed their exhausted husbands there during coffee break. And give them to eat. They take out the makeup kit and they would what? Fix themselves up. You hear this? And they say, kuchi kuchi, lovey dovey. The men were not into it, Avram. They had no koyach. Women have the ability to think outside the box. The iron women took their picnic baskets and their makeup kits, went out to the fields, because the mitzvah wouldn't let the husbands come home, keep them away from the wives, and you have a solution to the Jewish problem. But the women took the bull by the horns. They snuck out, and they made themselves pretty. Take a look at and through the picnic baskets, look at the top Rashi. Have it, Yehuda. The top Rashi. Meviot lebaleim leyedei tava. Top Rashi in the left column. And by making themselves sexy, they brought their husbands ledei tava. What does that mean? To desire them. V'niskokois lehem. And they had relations out there. Umisabrois v'yoldosham. Hope they brought along a sleeping bag, a tent, or a mechitza, right? They had relations out there in the field. Shenemar, there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Chava, you have it? It's in Rashi in the left column, 3 lines down from the top, on the left column. There's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Tachas hatapuach orarticha. Underneath the apple tree, I aroused you sexually. This is the Jewish wife saying to whom? To her hubby. Shenema b'maroi tatzavaot. So these mirrors were responsible for an army of Jewish babies to be born. Holy Moses, let me straighten you out. These women know better than you. Wow. Now, what's amazing, Ruvain, is, the Even Ezra points this out, each vessel in the Mishkan had specific weight and measure. The ark needed gold, the Mizbach Hazov needed gold, the table needed gold. A rabbi comes, he says, listen, here's my gold Rolex. Moses, melt it down. I want you to put it into the table or into the ark. Moses would weigh, sorry, it's overweight, go home. Each vessel had specific weight and measure, except for the kior. The kior had no specific weight and measure. Whenever a lady decided to bring her brass mirror, Bezalel would have to accept it, and the kior, it keeps on growing and growing, but because the most beloved vessel in the Mishkan was the kior. So therefore, no lady could be rejected. Unlike a rabbi who brought a gold watch to melt down, it put in the ark. Sorry, the ark already has its weight and measure. Go home. But no lady could be rejected, says the Even Ezra, and therefore the kior was the only vessel in the Mishkan that did not have a specific weight and measure. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible? So every time the Kohen would do the avodah, he would first have to wash his hands and feet, Chanoch, by what? The kior. To meditate. How come I'm here doing the avodah? For these righteous women who had the gumption to sneak out to the fields with their picnic baskets and these mirrors and make lovey-dovey with their husbands when the husband wanted to throw in the towel. But you ladies wouldn't give up. The iron ladies of the Exodus and throughout Jewish history, the women are the ones that always what? Avram had the ability to think outside of the box. And therefore,
For feminism.
and therefore, God gave the Torah first to the Bet Yaakov. Avram, ladies first, and only then to what? To Bnei Yisrael. God is Maketoiv to the Jewish ladies, right? And you have Ruth, Tamar, Esther, all did controversial acts, but if they didn't do what they did, there would be no Jewish people. Women have a Bina Yetera. How do you say that in English? Bina Yetera. Women's intuition. Women are more godlike. Therefore, the word neshama, the word Torah, the word mitzvah, Shechina, thank you, is all feminine. The whole Nekeva. Now, that's pretty amazing. Okay?
It's good.
Now, in this week's parsha, Moshe had a vision of God by the sneh, the burning bush, the thorn bush. Rashi says, why not a cherry tree?
Well, George Washington,
He chopped it down. Why not a pear tree? Why a thorn bush that cuts and pricks? Says Rashi is a symbol of Jewish suffering, and God identifies with Jewish suffering and pain. The burning thorn bush, suffering, Jewish pain, God feels the pain of every Jew. And then God tells him, the place that you're standing is Kodesh. The place that you're standing by the burning bush is Kodesh. So the Chafetz Chaim HaKodesh says an amazing word. He says the Torah is not history. I need to know what God told Moses at the burning bush barrel 128 years ago. So the Chafetz Chaim says, what's the message? The snare represents tzarot of Am Yisrael. Ki hamokoim ata omed, Kodesh, says the Chafetz Chaim. People, everyone in life has problems. Who doesn't have problems? Financial problems, social problems, problems with children, with a shidduch. Everyone has problems and tzarot. So you might say, why me? Ki hamokoim ata omed, Kodesh. It's dafke from problems. Matzav hakasher b'chaim says that's Kodesh. Because no pain, no gain. Everyone has problems in life. So what's the message? You can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. Hamokam ata omed, the place that you're standing, your difficult situation, that's Kodesh. The way to attain Kedusha is dafka through hard times, says the Chafetz Chaim. The stairway to Kedusha, Avram, is what? A matzav hakosher, the snare. The burning thorn bush represents Jewish suffering. Somehow, that's the way to attain Kedusha. Why? We don't know why. But that's the message. The matzav hakosher b'chaim ata omed, that's exactly what I need to attain Kedusha. No pain, no gain. When the going gets tough, the tough get going or go shopping. You decide. That's pretty interesting. Right? It's not a history lesson. The Torah is GPS. So we grow. Spiritual growth comes only from what? From suffering. I think it's called growing pains. Ki hamokim ata omed. Dafke, that place where you're standing, near the snare. What does the snare represent? Suffering and sorot. That's Dafke Kodesh. Because we only grow from hard times. Spiritual growth and progress doesn't come from what? Easy times. If you look back in life, and everybody makes mistakes. There's no perfect people. And we grow from our mistakes. From the hard times, we're able to progress spiritually. And that can be Kodesh if we want utilize our mistakes and learn from it and move on. And able to what? To grow and progress. That's pretty amazing. Now Moshe Rabbeinu, he was the prince of Egypt. The prince of Egypt. Why did the lawgiver and the redeemer have to grow up as a prince of Egypt? And then he became a fugitive in Midian. What's it all about? God was preparing him for his career as what? Redeemer and lawgiver. But why did that require Chaver first to be a prince of Egypt and then to be a fugitive and only then to become the Manig Yisrael? He was basic training. Why? Even Ezra explains, because if he would have grown up among the Yidden, not in the palace, and he said, I'm the Redeemer, we'd say, you're the Redeemer. I remember you. You're the kid with the runny nose. You're the Redeemer. You're a little boy chick. You grew up in Williamsburg with me. No, you had to grow up where? In the palace as a prince, not as a slave, to acquire leadership skills that will, what? Make him able to become the manhig and be the leader of the Jewish people. So therefore he couldn't grow up in the slime pits. He had to grow up as a prince, not to have that slave mentality, to have the courage of his convictions. And then he had to flee to Midian. Why? He no longer belongs to Paroi and royalty. He had a break with that, despite that his playpen and his first bicycle was where? In the palace. So he had a break with them in order to what? To have the courage to speak up to his former what? Stepfather. So whatever happens in life, Avram, God is pulling the strings, preparing us, educating us for what? For our mission. Very strange. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rambam said, had a hot temper. He had a hot temper. Yes. And his first son, he made a deal to give to Avodah Zarah, says the Medrash. Bizarre. He made many mistakes in life. And despite his mistakes, or perhaps because of his mistakes, he became not just the Redeemer, but the lawgiver. Despite his mistakes, Elisheva, or perhaps what? Because of them. A hot-tempered person, a fugitive, made a deal that his firstborn son would belong to Yisrael in the Vatican. He paid for his mistakes. Now he's able to grow and learn from it and what? Become not just the Redeemer, but also what? The lawgiver of Israel. That's pretty amazing. Whatever happens to us in life, things are going according to plan. Not our plan, but his plan, right? So who knew? If it wasn't for Wallenberg, I wouldn't be sitting here. Ira, Wallenberg saved my mother and 100,000 other Jews. He risked his life, a non-Jew like Shifrin Pua. And what was his reward? Batim, he got arrested like Shifrin Pua. Because the reward for a mitzvah is not in this world. In this world, for some reason, the righteous are destined to suffer. Reward only comes, Chanoch, where? In Olam Haba. In Olam Haba. Schar mitzvah Amalek. In this world, there is no reward for a mitzvah. In this world, we pay our dues, Mickey. Everybody's down here to pay their dues, yes?
Well, doesn't it say the Torah that in the Kosai
Go ahead.
It says you'll be rewarded.
Ooh, Ira asked the bomb kasha. First day on the job, Ira. And you asked the Rambam's kasha in Hilchos Tshuva. Ira, you're wonderful. Your kasha is asked by the Rambam Hilchas Tshuva. I didn't know you were going to ask me this kasha. I'm prepared, right?
Okay.
So the Rambam says, wait a minute. How could the Talmud say the reward for a mitzvah is not in this world? What about in the Shema, right? If you follow the Torah, you'll get rain, you get a bumper crop, your stocks will go up. So the Rambam says, I'll give it in my word. This is Ira's kasha, but the Rambam beat him to it in Hilchos Tshuva. And the answer is, I'll put it in my words, Avraham. It says the Rambam, when a person is hired to do a job, right, Leah, hired to do a job, you get your salary at the end of the month. But besides the salary, you have to have clean working conditions. You need a clean desk, you need air conditioning, you need heat, right? You need proper lighting. You need coffee breaks. Is that the salary, Ruvain? No. The salary comes at the end of the month. Ira, hear me well. What the perks, the bumper crop, Avram, that's not the reward, says Holy Rambam. That's working conditions. I have a job to do. The boss hired me. But I can't do the job if I don't have proper working conditions. Lighting, clean office space, right? Heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer, not vice versa. The rewards of the Torah are not rewards. They're working conditions. Coffee breaks, right? You get lunch. Some offices give you lunch. 15 minutes lunch and they give you a sandwich. Is that the salary, Rabbi Yaakov Goldman? Says Holy Rambam, no. That the Torah's rewards in this world are working conditions, but the salary will come at the end when the job is over. When is that, Ruvain? After 120. Isn't that wonderful, buddy? Wow. That Ira asked Rambam's kasha. The rewards in the Torah Chanoch are not reward. They're not the salary. They're working conditions. To get the job done. If you don't give me proper working conditions, God, how can I work for you properly? But that's not the salary, Avram. That comes at the end of the month or at the end of 120 years.
Who says that?
Rambam Hilchas Tshuva.
So when it says that
I'll give you rain, bumper crops. That's working conditions, not reward. Rambam Hilchas Tshuva. Wonderful. But the reward for a mitzvah, that's only in Olam Haba. Now, it's amazing that we're going to read Shirat Hayam next week or in 2 weeks. There's an amazing pasuk.
Excuse me. So the converse is also true.
What?
If you don't do the mitzvahs, you do averos.
You're going to lose your proper working conditions. That's right. If you're not doing God's job, the punishment doesn't come here. The punishment comes above. But God will say, why should I give you good working conditions? If you're not doing my job, you're doing your job. So I'm not going to punish you here. That comes when? Reward and punishment, buddy, come in Olam Haba. But if you're not doing my job, why should I give you proper working conditions? Who are you working for? The boss or for yourself? Hello, who do you work for? Do we work for God or we work for the Yetzer Hara? Ooh. Play Rabbeinu B'chai, Chanoch, you hear this. Do we work for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called what? What's HaKadosh Baruch Hu called? Yotzer. Do we work for the Yotzer or for the Yetzer? Ooh. God is called Yotzer Or. Yotzer Or. God forms light. God is the creator. Do we work for the Yotzer? Or Chas v'Sholom, do we work for the Yetzer Hara? You make the call. Who are you going to work for? You got to work for somebody. You make the call. But anyway, in Parshas Shirat Hayam, Rashi makes an amazing statement. Moses and the men, they sang to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They sang. But it says that Miriam took the ladies b'tipim v'mecholot with drums and tambourines. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. Rashi makes an amazing statement. Shelley, you got to hear this. Rashi in next week's Parshat B'Shalach, I think it's in 2 weeks, says as follows. The Noshim Tzikoniot of that generation knew that the highest form of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu is what? Not just by singing, but by what? Klei Zemer. Klei Zemer. Tipim v'mecholot, drums and tambourines. Even Moses didn't know that. Look at Rashi. Rashi had daughters, so he knew. Women are more spiritual. They're more godlike. So Rashi says the men didn't know, even Moses, that the men thought, Avram, the highest form of worship is what? To sing to God. But Dafkim, the Noshim, Miriam and the women, they not just sang to God, but they serenaded him with drums and tambourines. Says Rashi, those Noshim Tzikoniot knew that the sweetest, highest form of service that God loves the best is not just singing, but what? Klei Zemer. All women band. The men didn't know that. Women, that music is the language of the soul. I'm a soul man. Yep. Where did King David learn to serenade God, Avraham, with a violin and also with the harp? Where did he learn from? Miriam and the ladies, not the men. They only sang. But the women sang, and they also played tupim and mecholot. That means drums, dancing, and tambourine. That's what Bob Dylan, who went to my yeshiva, he was called Reuven Zimmerman. He wrote the song Mr. Tambourine Man, Reuven.
He wrote it there?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. In 1971, he was called Reuven Zimmerman, alias Bob Dylan. So he must have learned this Rashi, Shelley. And he wrote the song Mr. Tambourine Man. Should have wrote Miss Tambourine Lady. Elisheva, he should have wrote Hey, Miss Tambourine Lady, play a song for me.
Something new every day.
You come here, you learn something new every day. That's pretty amazing. Mr. Tambourine Lady, what?
The song was about LSD.
Come on, Chanoch, whatever you want to see in it. Come on, what do you want to see in it?
That's what he says.
You want to see? He can say what he wants. He wrote tambourine. The tip of a mecholot, I'm saying it's that. What do you want to see?
Truth.
Anyway, something was coming.
We make our own truth. Chava.
No, none of these
What?
songwriters just.
And his daughter is religious now. His daughter Sarah is religious, and she sings only for women. Sarah. Bob Dylan's daughter.
What about Simon and Garfunkel? What happened with them?
What happened to them?
He said, slow down, you move too fast.
Slow down, you move. What? I don't know. The Sound of Silence, Chanoch. They went to Yeshiva Central Queens, I'm not joking. The word Sound of Silence is words from the book of Kings when God reveals himself at Eliyahu Hanavi. The book of Kings, Kings 1, I remember what chapter. It's in Haftorah, in Parshas Balak. Eliyahu Hanavi is in Har Sinai. There's earthquakes and there's fire, and the Navi says God is not in the earthquake, he's not in the fire, he's Kol Damama Daka. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Kol Damama Daka means the sound of silence. Isn't that incredible? Maybe it was their Haftorah for their bar mitzvah. They should pay Elijah royalties, Chanoch. Sound of Silence, the biggest hit in 1963. Number one song. Kol Damama Daka is taking from the encounter, the close encounter between God and Eliyahu Hanavi. First there was Rash, Eish, Ruach Chazak. God is not in the Eish. He's not in the Ruach Chazak. He's not in the earthquake. He's Kol Damama Daka, the sound of silence. Pretty amazing, huh? Oh, great stuff. All right. What? What?
Philip Seymour Hoffman was quoted something in the movie.
What?
This is God doesn't write through songwriters.
The Beatles, you think it's Stuyot. In one of their songs, Hanoch, I used to love the Beatles. They sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven.
That's right.
What are they saying, Hanoch?
They know.
Keep the 7, go to heaven.
That's right.
The Double White Album, or was it the Abbey Road? Slicha. Ira, I used to love the Beatles. They sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven. What they're saying is, keep the 7, go to heaven. The Rambam in Hilchos Malachim, a non-Jew keep the 7, he goes to heaven. So maybe John Lennon, I don't know. Well, his manager was Jewish, Brian Epstein.
Yeah.
Was Reno Jewish?
He was really Jewish, he spoke Yiddish. Paul McCartney tells the story. Why did he hire him? So Brian Epstein in '62 heard them singing in a nightclub in Liverpool. He heard them singing, so a Yid likes to make a buck. So after he walks over to them, he says, listen, guys need a good manager. So he said, what's your name? He said, my name is Brian Epstein. So they talk it over. You can read this in the biography of Paul McCartney. He says, let's hire him. My mom said Jews have a good head for business.
Yeah, but
Brian Epstein.
McCartney married a Jew.
McCartney's children are all Jewish.
Yeah, but his third wife.
Paul McCartney. But anyway, so that's the story. So, right? What's in a song? What do you want to hear? Right? Well, I got to tell you a story. Ooh, Avram Berkowitz, you got it. Now hear this. Now hear this. The great Baal Shem Tov. The great Baal Shem Tov. Actually, the Sor Salanter. Sor Salanter. It's late at night. The village, 100 years ago or more, in Poland, little village, late at night, all the lights are out, right? So if Sor Salanter's walking home from his yeshiva, 1 o'clock in the morning, all the village is what? Dark. And by the shoemaker, the light is still burning. Hear the story? Sor Salanter. So he knocks on the door, says, Rabbi Yid, it's late, Rabbi Yid, why are you still working with the shoes? 1 o'clock in the morning. He says, Rebbe, as long as the candle is still burning, kemen noch verrechten. Ira, you speak Yiddish? Wie lang de Licht brennt, kemen noch verrechten. As long as the candle is still burning, you can still repair. So Salanta burst out crying, Shelley. So the shoemaker says, Rebbe, take a pill and lie down. It's only a pair of shoes. So the shoemaker thought that he's what? Talking about his shoes. As long as the light is burning, you can still repair. But the Sor Salanter heard God's voice in the mouth of the shoemaker.
He was talking about the soul,
The Ner
not the heel. That was
Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. Ooh. The shoemaker thought he's talking about the shoes and the candle. But the great tzaddik said, I heard God's voice in his mouth. He didn't know what he's saying. The Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. Mishlei 4. The Jewish soul's compared to what? Candle. As long as the candle is still burning, as long as the godly soul is still in the body, you can still repair. You can still repair and make tikkunim. So the Rebbe began to cry. The shoemaker, I think he's talking about his shoes, right? But he heard God's voice in the mouth of the shoemaker. Wie lang de Licht brennt, kemen noch verrechten. You know Yiddish, no? As long as the candle of God is still burning in the body, you can still repair. There's so much to do. Not a moment to waste. But once the candle goes out, it's too late now. Therefore, life is so precious. Because only in this world can you do repair. The next world, it's too late. So that's the message. The message is that we grow from our sorrow, and the moment of sorrow, that's Kodesh. Somehow, that's what we need in order to grow and progress spiritually. You can't always get what you want, but you sure get what you need. That song, you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. Any truth out there, Chanoch, the Rambam says, any truth out there comes from us. But it's, recycled. Reincarnation, I think the Hindus made it up. Reincarnation is a Jewish doctrine that's been recycled and taken. Any truth out there comes from us. We are the source. Therefore, we're so hated. Because the world knows that we are the source. For every truth out there comes from us. Just it's recycled. Okay? Any questions, comments?
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Toda Rabbi.